Hello peeps, welcome back to Big Deck Player with me, Matt Sparks. On today's episode, we are taking a look at a Warlock deck. Now I know what you might be thinking. You might be thinking, oh, it's probably a Zoolock deck or it's a Handlock deck. But I have a little surprise for you in store today. We don't have either, and yet we have both. So, this deck is called WTF Giants, which I thought was quite interesting titles, which is why I decided to take a closer look at it. This was posted as per usual on Hearthstone.com. There will be a link in the description so you can go straight there and see it for yourself. And if you like the deck, obviously make sure you give it a little plus rating so that other people can see it too. So, let's have a look at the deck listing. Now, it starts off, the first half, I guess, of the deck you could class as being a bit of a Zoolock deck. So, and then the latter half, not so much. But let's have a look at what we've got in the deck, and I mean, you can make up your own mind. So we have two Power Overwhelmings. This is a great card for dealing extra damage, either for removal or to finish off your opponent. But it also combos quite nicely with some other things in the deck, which I will get to once we get to those things. So we have those. We have Undertaker, two of those, because Undertaker comboed with minions with Death Rattle just makes them really strong, and if you can get a lot of them out quick enough, your Undertaker can become quite powerful and sometimes can snowball to a point where your opponent can't really do anything about them unless they have a silence. So we have two Undertakers. We have two Zombie Chow to combo with the Undertaker, so you got two one cost things, so you can get them out pretty quickly. Obviously you want to try and get Zombie Chow out at the beginning, because late game they're not that effective. Even with the Undertaker on the board, getting a Zombie Chow out, they're going to act as like a soft taunt basically, and because your opponent's going to want that 5 health back. So try and get them out early game if you can. So I guess if you're going to mulligan for anything, you want to get your Undertakers and your Zombie Chows in your hand fairly early game. We have two Haunted Creepers. Haunted Creepers, fairly strong card, and obviously with Death Rattle combos very nicely with the Undertaker. We have two Nerubian Eggs. Now this is one of the things you can use for combos with Power Overwhelming, because then that way, once it dies horribly as the result of using Power Overwhelming, you'll obviously get your 4/4 Nerubian, which is pretty cool. And obviously as Death Rattle, combos nicely with the Undertaker. So great card for this deck. Two Harvest Golems, strong card, always has been, and will continue to be. And with Death Rattle, again, combos nicely with the Undertaker. Now this is where it starts to get a little bit more interesting. We have two Void Terrors, which destroys the minions either side, and it gains their attack and their health. If you get, say, a Nerubian Egg, and you give it Power Overwhelming, which would make it a 4/6, to use to, I don't know, kill something off. Whatever health and an attack it has left, if you put a Void Terror down next to it, that will absorb whatever it has left. It was going to die anyway, because you've got Power Overwhelming on it. So that will just buff up your Void Terror. Obviously, Void Terror just on the two Nerubian Eggs, if you plant it down between the two Nerubian Eggs, it's not going to be as effective. It'll have a lot of health, but it won't have much in the way of attack. So probably best to use this on stuff that was going to die anyway as a result of Power Overwhelming. That's when I found like the maximum kind of use and effect for it. We have two Shadow Flames for some board clear. This is potentially one of the best ones. Again, because of Power Overwhelming, you can get at least a 4 damage board clear with a Shadow Flame and Power Overwhelming combo. And again, if it's something that you want to, like a Nerubian Egg, you want to kill off the Nerubian Egg anyway, so you can get your 4/4 Nerubian. So it makes sense to use Shadow Flame and Power Overwhelming on those targets. But there's also other targets you can use it on in this deck as well. We have two Defender of Argus to give some taunt. Obviously, if you don't have your Power Overwhelming, so you don't have your Shadow Flames, using Defender of Argus for your Nerubian Eggs is very cool. Using Defender of Argus on Haunted Creepers early game can be quite effective too, I've found. We have one Spellbreaker for a silence. That's the only silence that we have in this deck, but I find that you need to run at least one silence in the deck, either to help you win the match by silencing a taunt or something, or by silencing something that's big and scary. One Loatheb, because Loatheb is an awesome card. I'm seeing that this card and the next card are in almost every single deck that I look at the moment. It's such a great card. That battle cry is so good. So Loatheb is just an awesome card. So if you haven't done Naxxramas and you haven't got Loatheb yet, you really, really need to do that, because Loatheb is possibly one of the best cards that Naxxramas brought out. Sludge Belchers. We have two of those. Again, fantastic card. I see them all the time because they're so good. Because it's essentially a 4/7 taunt that you have to kill twice. Almost. So Sludge Belchers, fantastic cards, and with Death Rattle, combo nicely with the Undertaker. So, fantastic card. Two Siphon Souls to get rid of anything big and scary, and for a little bit of health back to yourself. As a Warlock, you're going to be life tapping a little bit, and as a result, you're going to lose health. So, Siphon Soul is fantastic, and being able to just destroy a minion is just awesome. So, two of those. One Cairn Bloodhoof, because Cairn's awesome. Has Death Rattle, combos with Undertaker. One Sylvanas Windrunner. Has Death Rattle, so combos with Undertaker. But this is where things start getting interesting, because obviously if you put Power Overwhelming onto Sylvanas, she becomes a 9/9, which is huge. And, obviously, Power Overwhelming will kill Sylvanas at the end. So then she becomes a mind control as well.
Let me change your mind.
Also, if you want, you could Shadow Flame Sylvanas, doing a 5 damage board clear, and then anything that survives that will get the mind control. Also using a Void Terror next to Sylvanas. Say there's something big on the board and you don't have any means to get rid of it, but you've got a Sylvanas and you've got a Void Terror. That makes the Void Terror an 8/8, which is awesome. And if they've got a Ragnaros or a Giant or something on their side, but only that, Sylvanas plus Void Terror equals Mind Control, and you've got an 8/8 Void Terror. Awesome combos. There's some really awesome ways of messing with your opponent with this deck. It's great. We have a Kel'Thuzad to resummon anything that died. If you can get Sylvanas and Kel'Thuzad on the board at the same time, it can be really, really cool. Really, really cool. And because you've got Power Overwhelming, it means you don't really have to worry too much about losing things that maybe you don't want to lose. Provided you have Kel'Thuzad, obviously. We have a Lord Jaraxxus, because it's Lord Jaraxxus. If you get to a point where you're kind of sitting around 9-10 health, it might be worth using Lord Jaraxxus, just to kind of finish your opponent off. And last but not least, we have the Molten Giants, because, well, you're playing a Warlock. So it makes sense to have Molten Giants in your hand, because you could end up playing them for 0 cost, which is awesome. And if you have both of the Molten Giants out, you could Void Terror them both, making just what was that, 19? 19. You know, that's the sort of craziness that could happen. If you can get your Kel'Thuzad out as well, then you'll get your Giants back, which will just make everything better. So there's a lot of possibilities for this deck. Some really, really good early game pressure from the combos from Undertaker and Zombie Chow, Haunted Creeper, all that kind of stuff. It's really, and they'll think that you're playing a kind of like a Death Rattle Lock type rush deck, I guess. Until you start bringing out some of these big boys, and then they'll, oh dear. And hopefully, by the time you get to the big boys, they will have used a lot of their silences and removals and stuff to get rid of the smaller threats on your board, so that when the big boys come along, they don't have anything to really deal with it, and you can just smash them in the face. I've had a few games with this already, and as you can see, I've been doing pretty well so far. So that's it. That's the WTF Giants deck. As I said earlier, there is a link in the description, so you can go and check it out for yourself. It's a fairly new deck. It's only been up for a day or two, so you should really go and give it some support, because I think this deck is really fun. And it's a nice change from the usual Warlock decks that you see out and about on Ranked. So that's it. That's Big Deck Player for this week. Join me again next week where we'll have some more interesting decks. It's going to be December next week, so we might even see some stuff to do with Goblins versus Gnomes, but I'm not sure when that starts getting released, so we shall have to wait and see. But stay tuned, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.